Hello everyone and welcome back to Power Skills Level 3 where we talk about emotions. In the previous video, I gave you the overview of what emotions are from an evolutionary, psychological, neurological perspective. We also discussed a very important point and a very important concept for your success. This is your set point, your habitual thinking and emotion habits. And we also briefly discussed the emotional scale. Now, the emotional scale, as I mentioned, it's not scientifically proven yet. Also, a lot of gurus and personal development guys out there use the concept of positive and negative emotions, which I also used in the previous video. Now, however, I would like to shift a little bit that perspective from a constructive emotions to destructive emotions. So when we think about constructive emotions, those are emotions like bliss, joy, curiosity, excitement. And when we talk about destructive emotions, those are emotions like shame, fear, depression. So I would like to think about an emotional ladder, not so much of a scale, but a ladder that you can climb. And I would like to give you an example of how this is important for your career or your business. So let's say that you are writing a book and at the same time you want to work out in order to improve your health because you might have a slight health challenge. You wake up, and when you wake up, by the way, you go to your set point, to your emotional set point, which is 50% genetic, 50% genetic, 50, and 50% something that you can change. However, those 50% of what you can change can override the genetics. So even if you're someone who's prone to depression, by changing your set point, you can become someone who's prone to bliss. So let us go back to our example of how our emotional ladder affects our life, career, success, business. You want to work out and at the same time you want to finish that book. You wake up. The first thing that happens when you wake up is that you default to your set point. And if that set point is feeling low, feeling a bit slow, and your thinking process is, I'm not a super achiever, I'm overweight, I still have so much to write about this book. Instead of starting to work out and then working on your book, you might delay this, procrastinate it, or never do it. And I know that I have given you thousands of examples like this, but now I want to look at this example from an emotional perspective. So before you start working out, before you start working on your book, being in a state that's conducive to productivity, that's conducive for you doing your best work, getting your best idea, is very important. So when we want to achieve a goal, when we want to create something, when we want to learn a new skill, when we want to get the job that we love, when we want to create a successful business, so pretty much when we work on our career, our business, our mastery, our development, our skills, the foundation is our state. So here I would like to invite you to take a look of the rituals and protocols for emotions, for your set point that we have, so that early in the morning you can go into having better emotions. And by the way, a lot of the protocols that we've already discussed, both for mornings and for starting works, are designed to make you feel better so that you can start working. All right, so I hope by now you pretty much understand how the emotional ladder works for productivity. But let's look at another aspect, and that's charisma. Regardless of whether you work for yourself or for another person, in most of the cases, you need people. You need people as your clients, people as your colleagues, people as your partners. And people who are charismatic and who bring good vibes and good energy tend to be more successful. They're more liked, and other people are more likely to help them. However, your charisma is not so much related to how you look or how smart you are. Your charisma is related to the emotions you bring to the world. Because people feel and read your emotions in the first 3 seconds they see you. So uplifting your emotional state will also make you more charismatic. And here I again invite you to our rituals and protocols for emotion. emotions. All right, so we discussed that we're not talking about negative and positive emotions, we're talking about destructive and constructive. We're talking about a ladder, and then we have rituals and protocols of how to move up to that ladder so that we are more charismatic and more productive. So now I would like us to look at some crucial balance, which is something that it's almost never talked about, but it's very important. First of all, I would like us to talk about the balance of dopamine and serotonin. So dopamine, as you already know, is our motivation and reward chemical or neurotransmitter. And dopamine is released in anticipation to a reward, not so much to the reward. So dopamine is what puts us into action to work towards something that we want. Serotonin, on the other hand, is the happiness hormone and is feeling happy here and now. So when we have a good balance of those two hormones or of those two states, emotional states, we are alert enough and active enough in order to start, continue, sustain action and to be charismatic. So dopamine is what Steve Jobs called stay hungry and stay foolish. If we don't feel motivated, if we don't feel hungry to achieve certain goal, to achieve certain progress, we will never achieve it. Serotonin, on the other hand, is that feeling of I'm good enough, I'm happy, my life is great. And when we have this balance, my life is great, but I want more, I'm good enough, but I'm going to develop this skill, I love everything that I have, but I'm working for more. When we have this good balance, we are great. What happens if the scales are not in good balance? So I mentioned that if we don't have enough hunger, ambition, we're not going to take action, not going to set goals. And I think this is clear. But here, if we have too low self-esteem, if we don't have confidence, if we feel we are not good enough, what will happen is that we will feel so low that the motivation will not even kick in. Bottom line, what I'm saying is that we need to maintain a great balance or a good balance of wanting more and being happy with what we have. So here, all rituals related to gratitude, related to celebrating small successes are very helpful. Now, I would like to say that this balance is very dynamic and there is no such thing as a perfect balance, and all of us will every now and then go out of balance. Our goal here is to know how to come back in balance and to just keep in mind that we should be maintaining this balance through sleeping good, through our diet, through exercise, and of course through rituals and protocols, which help us stay hungry for more and happy with what we have. And this might sound like a paradox, but it's not. It's the formula to staying motivated and staying in high state. Before we move towards emotional regulation, I would like to briefly discuss another balance that we've mentioned before. That's the balance between being alert and calm or not too anxious. So in order for us to start learning, to start working on our goals, we need certain level of alertness and awakeness, which come through cortisol and adrenaline. And although people relate cortisol to stress, actually it's the wake-up hormone. And if we don't have cortisol, we might not even be alive. So a healthy level of cortisol is needed so that we are alert and we can learn and remember and improve. For dance, for singing, for any skill, we need that level of alertness. But we also need to be calm enough so that we are not in panic state, because if we're too alert, if we're in panic state, we won't be learning. Our prefrontal cortex shuts down. So for learning, for improvement, and for mastery, we need the balance of being alert and calm. And those seem like they are opposite and they cannot exist together, but think of them as a scale. So you don't want the scale to be like this, because then you are in your panic zone and you're way too stressed to learn or to improve. But you also don't want it to be like this, where you're too sleepy, too slow, you don't even know where you are, you're in mental haze. You need a good balance of alertness and calm to get in action. So with this video, I am inviting you to the rituals and protocols, but also here I would like to invite you to check some of the additional resources we have for emotions and emotional regulations, because I believe that the more you understand yourself and emotion, the better you can manage them. So I have a twofold invitation for you. Please check out our rituals and protocols, choose one and stick to it, and explore the additional resources so that you can deepen your understanding of emotions and emotional regulation.